Hello wonderful people of Choice Incorporated. Long time no see. I've been here bored, like probably all of us are, but the thing that has been keeping me going and giving me motivation through the day has been making art. We don't need to let this pandemic keep us from making art together. So I figured I would get in front of the camera and I would record an art lesson. So if you would like to join me, there are a few things that you will need to grab. I'm gonna try to make this as easy as possible for everybody at home to be able to follow along. So if you happen to have art paper, fantastic. Grab your art paper. If you don't have art paper, and if you have a printer, grab out some printer paper. Just plain old white printer paper will work just fine. If you don't have printer paper, cardboard will do the trick too. A lot of us are getting packages shipped to us because we can't go out to stores, so I know that I have plenty of cardboard laying around. So if you have cardboard, you can grab that too. Maybe you have some classic construction paper. Just thought I should match. Next thing you will need is a magazine. You could grab any magazine that you happen to have. It could even be a magazine that's been sent to you, such as a catalog. If there's images in it, we're good to go. When it comes to mediums, we have some options. A good old pencil. Any pencil will do. A pen if you're feeling confident and you don't think you have to erase any lines, which is awesome. I have colored pencils. I have watercolors. I even have some oil pastels. Whatever you have, go and get it. So what we're gonna do today, it's kind of a mixed media piece. It uses collage elements. Collage, which is when you take an image, a found image, and you cut it out and you paste it onto your piece of paper. We're gonna collage, but we're also going to draw. And drawing is actually gonna be the bigger part of this project. We really want to stretch our creative muscles and do a little bit more than just gluing an image onto paper. So I'm gonna look through my magazine and I'm gonna find an image that I want to cut out and I want to add to. What we're gonna do is we're gonna complete a scene. So for completing a scene, that means we take an image, we cut it out, but we don't cut it out in its entirety. Instead, we cut off a piece of the image. We glue it on the paper, and then it's up to us to fill in that space that we have cut out. And that might sound kind of confusing. It'll make sense once we have the image on the paper and we start drawing. But what image to choose? Okay, so I think I've found the image that I want to use. Here it is. Now I have to decide what part I want to cut out. And we're not gonna get fancy with our cutting. We're not gonna be cutting around, corners and curves. We're just gonna be cutting out a square or a rectangle. I think I want to cut out the lower part and maybe cut halfway through that plate. Oh yes, you will need scissors. So here's the image that I cut out. So as you can see, I cut off part of that plate and I get to recreate everything that's outside of this image. I get to create it from my imagination and just get to go wild and have fun. So I'm gonna zoom you guys into our easel and we're gonna go ahead and get started. To glue my image to my paper, I'm gonna use classic Elmer's glue. You don't wanna put too much glue onto it or else it's not gonna dry. It's just gonna be a mess. It's gonna gloop and glop out from underneath your image. So just do a very thin layer of glue, just enough to stick it down onto your paper. Like so. Now to choose where it's gonna go on our paper. So my image is pretty low, but I still have a little space below and on the sides if I want to add any detail in those areas. But I want to focus my drawing mostly up here. So I left the most space on my paper above the image. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to look at my image. What do we want to add to this? And what do I need to continue because I cut it off? So I have this plate with its top missing. So I need to add the rest of that plate. There's also this design in the plate, so I'm gonna continue that too. I do see a loaf of bread, so I'm gonna continue that loaf of bread. And this loaf of bread is right on the corner, so I really have to fill in this space. I really have to use the area all around it to make sure that the whole loaf of bread is drawn in there. There is a piece of bread over here, so I'm guessing it's not a whole entire loaf of bread. So if I want to be all realistic, I'm going to add in a loaf of bread with the end missing on it. But see, here's the bread, so I'm connecting my lines to where the image ends. I'm gonna finish this plate that's on the bottom too, and it's not just a plate, it's also the very end of the spoon. So my spoon's coming off the plate, so I'm gonna draw in the rest of the spoon. Oh my goodness, hold up. We have a visitor. This is Kato. Kato, do you wanna finish the drawing? He's very artistic. Bye. So I finished the spoon handle, and I'm also gonna finish the bottom of this plate. We also have the bag that the bread came in, so I'm gonna finish that as well. And remember, we're just using our imagination as to what the rest of this would even look like. And it's just our imagination, so it doesn't have to be accurate. It doesn't have to be what it really would look like in real life. Can be whatever we want it to look like. Now we get to get even more creative. So what am I going to add to this? I think I'm going to add a vase on the table. And this vase is going to be filled with flowers. I think I'm gonna draw another plate up here. So another big saucer shape. What do I want to have on that plate? How about a big raw fish? Why not? Because everybody loves a raw fish for breakfast, right? So I'm gonna have my table over here. Here's the corner of the table. Another corner. And because it's a glass table, you can see like the chairs underneath, so I am going to add in just the lines that kind of finish off what we see in our image. If we have bread, we need butter, right? So we're going to do a little butter plate. Land O'Lakes. Now let's stick a butter knife into that. I'm going to add one more plate because we have quite a few over here. Let's add another one on this side of the table. And some utensils, because how are we going to eat our giant raw fish without a fork? Who's going to be sitting eating this meal? Well, I do hear a little cat chomping over my shoulder on his meal, so I think I'm going to add a cat. This is a cat's breakfast. Corner of the room. Now I get to color it in. I think I'll use colored pencils. And there it is, a magazine clipping turned into a masterpiece. I I did a couple other examples to help give you a better idea of what the possibilities are with this project. Anybody hungry for some pasta? Got milk? I hope this tutorial inspired you to make some art of your own, whether it be this project or something totally different. And if you weren't inspired to make art, I hope at least you were entertained. And if you weren't entertained, here's a joke. What sits at the bottom of the sea and twitches? A nervous wreck. What does a nosy pepper do? Gets jalapeno business. Well, you guys, that's it from me today. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you all, and I can't wait till we're actually hanging out together, physically, there, in the same room. It's gonna be really great. Until then, stay safe, stay home, and make art.